Before we begin, I would like to thank our sponsors and collaborators and remind you of our upcoming webinars. On August 26th, the topic will be Emotional Well-Being, Warning Signs and Resources. As a reminder, our presentation will be recorded today. An email will be sent directly to you with a link to the archived presentation and any materials presented. Please feel free to share this email with your colleagues. The complete collection of archived webinars can be found on our website at the address listed in blue on our website. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to Ginger Myers to present marketing campaigns. Start small to grow tall.
That initial slide was start small to grow tall. That's a line that often we talk with kids about starting projects and not taking too big of a chunk. And I think when we start thinking about marketing, we get caught up in the big picture of, oh, I have to do this and all these pieces. I want you to step back for a minute and think about this presentation as a kind of component of a marketing plan. In fact, it is. The marketing campaign is different. So before I go any further, I will introduce myself. I am the marketing specialist for agriculture and food systems with the University of Maryland Extension. I've been there some time. I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs, developing new markets. It's been a busy spring and summer trying to see where farmers markets are going and direct sales, agritourism. These are all things I work with that are direct market venues. And of course, with COVID, everything's got a new twist to it. But adaptability, and again, folks took their marketing campaigns and pivoted, and that's a word you'll hear a lot these days about pivoting and resilience. But if you have a marketing campaign portion of your marketing plan, it's much easier to figure out where to go next when something like COVID or markets shut down, or for some reason you can't go the way you thought you could. Also, in full disclosure, my husband and I, we have a grass-based livestock farm, and we direct market beef, pork, chicken, and eggs through a on-farm market at farmers markets. We have a large CSA, and we used to sell to a lot of restaurants. So I understand well how to use some of the components we're going to talk about today, and maybe some changing in those for the times that we're in. So as I said, a marketing campaign is not the marketing plan. It's the implementation tool for how you're going to try to engage customers, that audience, with your products. Before we go any further, I think it's always good to see if we're asking the right questions when we're doing a presentation or we're sitting at a conference. When I go somewhere, I like to kind of write down what I want to find out when I'm there, the questions I might have that I'm seeking answers to, and I want to put that out here right away for you all to think about this in your quote-unquote campaign. Like, who is your target audience, and what do you want them to do? Because not everybody is the same customer or the same demographic. So who is and the operative word here is target. Who is the target, and what do you want them to do? Have you segmented your audience when it comes to that target? And then thinking about what communication tools are you using now and you've been successful, but also we're seeing a lot more tools come along, particularly online tools. But think about the ones that you're using now, what you're good at, what you want to perhaps bring in next. But you know, the who, what, when, where, and how questions of how do you implement getting your product in front of your potential customers, and better yet, getting them to make a purchase. So I want to spend just a little time on this presentation because, again, this is a different way to look at those questions. And I use it as a litmus test to figure out what you're doing with these components. first of all, when you're working on a marketing campaign or a marketing outreach, do you have the right audience? Um, for instance, if you're marketing books for elementary school students, you wouldn't be writing to families that have college age students. In my case, we direct to market meat. I have very few vegans on my mailing list. It's not the right audience. Now, we have other things in our farm store that vegans would be interested in, and I certainly include them in some of my other marketing pieces. But if I'm going to do a Christmas special on beef tenderloins, they are not my market. So think about the right audience. And you might say, but I need every sale. I send it to everybody. Eventually, you'll find that you don't get enough feedback and you're spending a lot of time sending it to the wrong people. So get the right audience. We're going to talk a little bit about the right message next, even though this form doesn't quite follow that. Lee, I'm still seeing your slide on here, so it's kind of blocking a few things for me. What is the right message? You got to go back and look at marketing first. So selling's a one-time transaction, where marketing realizes that people have a want or need. Seldom do we get in our cars and just go to the store and not have an idea what we want to buy, or go browsing the car lot and not have an idea that you might want a new car. So we need to get our head around the fact that people buy what they need or want, not simply something we have in front of them. And so back to that right audience, right message, recognizing why they buy, and why people buy is a answer to a problem. I love this little simple slide from the beef industry. Before COVID, statistics said that 63% of people didn't know what they were having for dinner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Certainly now that we're all cooking more at home, that figure is skewed. But the beef industry recognized that was a real pressing problem that they could give a quick answer to. And I just love this slide because it's so simple. It says, what's for dinner? Beef. Put that idea in front of you. It's something that's quick. Oh, I could get burger. I could pick up some beef tonight. That's what's for dinner. So we've talked about right audience, right message, solving the customer's problem. This is a little more detail about that, and I want to spend some time with it because it gets a little complicated from the standpoint of types of customers. It goes with both these components of right customer, right message. And if we think of all the customers out there, all the people that could be buying your product, they can be segmented into these 5 portions. Now, the one at the top are the customers you already have. They love your product. They know what you do. They're regulars. They promote for you. But in this triangle, they're the smallest portion, and they're probably not enough to sustain you. And if they are, there's not much growth there. And we're all looking now for changing in the market and growth in different segments. So the one is your premium product and premium customers. Number 2, and you see a little bit further down, is that they know that they need your product, but they don't know you have it yet. For those of us who've been selling for a while, this is the frustration of when someone who was probably your neighbor walked in and said, "Oh, I didn't know you sold that," or "Oh, I didn't know you were here," or "I didn't know you were at the farmer's market stand." Trying to get that message out. And how we do that is what we're going to talk about in this campaigning later. And so 1 and 2 are the portions that most of us live in right now. And that's okay. That's where you start. And number 2 is the first nut you got to crack to expand that top part of the triangle. Now, certainly when you see 3 and 4 and going down, this is a large portion. And so in some ways it can be overwhelming. You say, well, I'll never get down in there. The other side of this is you can see how many possible customers are out there. We live, our curse and our blessing is that we live in a highly populated area. You know, think of them in the 3, 4, and 5 segments. How many folks we can have as potential customers. You know, if you live somewhere in the middle of Oklahoma, this triangle might not work for you. But we do have options such as number 3, that solution awareness. They know what they want, but they don't know you have a solution. And I think of folks who are looking on paleo diets. You know, they know they want this whole protein, but they don't know that you can supply it if you're a meat producer, or they know that they want to have antibiotic, hormone-free, organic, whatever their type of product they're looking for. They know they want it, but they don't know that you have their solution. And back to that little slide about beef, oftentimes the results they want are convenience. And so there's a whole lot of things that fall under that umbrella, whether that's that you'd offer delivery, or that it's pre-cooked, or it's pre-packaged, or you provide recipes. So this solution awareness, I really think if you're out looking for making people aware that you have a product, it marries very nicely into the message of, I have it, here's what it can do for you, or these are attributes, or why you might find this the answer to your problem. I once read someone's marketing for their farm fresh eggs, and it led off with, you want to give your children the most nutritious breakfast you can every morning, but who has time for breakfast? And they were promoting eggs, you know, hard-boiled eggs, a quick egg sandwich. And it really pulled at that problem of folks who are hurried at breakfast, but we want to give the kids a good start to the day. How do you do that? Well, here was the quick answer, was their farm fresh eggs. On down in 4 and 5, they might not have a problem and they're not aware that they can fix it. This is often, when we look at like exercise programs, if everybody who wanted to lose weight bought every product online that's out there exercising or eclipsing or stair pressing, we wouldn't have overweight people. But they know they have a problem, but they're not aware that that's going to help them at all. They disconnect. And then of course down at 5, these are folks that are unaware that they have a problem or where to get it, and that's a lifestyle choice often for them. Easier to go to the grocery store than the farmer's market. Don't realize that maybe some of the foods that they're eating are so heavily processed. It's always tasted good, so you know, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Also, they may not know that you have a service that could help them. They're not aware that they could, again, a gym membership, or that using your landscape services would provide them more time with their family. So I go through this triangle in more detail probably than might be warranted, but the idea that there are a lot of people out there, there are a lot of potential customers, work on customers 1 and 2, they'll give you the most satisfaction, but start to creep into 3 for sure. When you can work your marketing message that you're providing a solution, you will penetrate the number 3 group there. So this is a challenge for those, particularly maybe you've been marketing for a long time, you have a long time stand, or you've been working at the farmers markets for some time, or you're, you know, maybe you're a consultant with someone that you sell product. This triangle is applicable to any sales product direct to customers. I can't see the chat where I'm at, so if anybody is monitoring the chat, just let me know. So we've talked about, you know, right message, right group. Now I want to talk about that right time and right tool, because once you've worked out the group and the message, now we really are getting into the delivery. So we've all, if you've done any kind of marketing, you've had some kind of um, campaign, as it were, whether that was handing out brochures or talking to your friends and family about that you're going to get in the cut flower business or they're interested in bouquets. You've had something, and it's worked well enough, obviously, that you're still in business or you're thinking about going into the business. But and it's tempting to do that over and over again because it's worked, right? Well, the problem is you need to vary some of these techniques, and we're going to go through some, and some you may say, yes, I want to use that, or no, I don't. But vary them because first of all, it's going to reach different people, and we know that people respond to different marketing messages or different delivery um, of that information. So we're going to talk about several of these. And of course, the first one is digital marketing campaigns. It seems to be that's where we're at because there's a lot of it. The social media, the emails, and so forth. That it's got to be digital. Well, in part because uh, that's where most people spend their time. And so it can be anything from newsletters to social media, your website, what's going on in the digital space. And you do need to always have this as part of your marketing plan and campaign. Um, I'm seeing a shift even into Facebook for selling product. I mean, that's the next thing we're going to see. Instagram and Facebook and some of those start to get into the marketing piece because we know that folks are on their social media several times a day, and the ability to get product in front of your eyes. I do read Facebook, and I am surprised how many more sales ads there are, even if there are companies now saying, oh, we're going out of business because of COVID, but you have the great chance to buy these $150 shoes for $70. I mean, this is what we're seeing creeping in, and it's all digital. So you do need to develop some digital expertise. You absolutely need a website, and then mastering some of these tools in the digital space. And I tell people to shuffle the deck. You don't have to do them all, but you do need to do more than one, and you need to get good at the ones you select. Remember, we're right place, right message, right audience. This is right place. This is where people are finding this information, right or wrong. I know that sometimes social media gets very frustrating with what people are posting. So you need to be aware of how you position it, the words you use, and how you're going to do that outreach. One of the big areas that I think folks forget about is email marketing. We know from statistics, again, folks will open their email before they will open their social media because they want to see who sent them what. The other thing about email marketing, using an email newsletter or an email, a blog, you know that it gets delivered. With the algorithms on the social media sites like Facebook and Instagram and some of these others, you can't really tell if they got to see it or not. With email marketing, it's much more, I don't want to say guaranteed, but likely that they at least saw it come in their inbox. Photos and videos are very popular now. You know, the old a picture is worth 1,000 words. I see it a lot with food items like baked goods or barbecue, where the picture conveys part of the message, and videos, even little short ones about how something's grown or about the family, about the farm, about the business. Uh, can't be too long. And the other thing, because our smartphones are such good cameras, you don't need to purchase another camera. I mean, you can if you want to get into some of this more longer and higher quality, but the smartphones have such good cameras in them now that the photos and the videos are good quality, and the videos can be uploaded to YouTube right from your phone or can go to your website. Lots of ways to use this digital marketing campaign. I did have the last one here, contest. Oftentimes we don't think about contests as a marketing campaign, but again, I'm seeing them show up more now. Folks are looking for something to participate in. It's it cannot it doesn't have to be salesy. It can be share pictures of the food that you bought from here with the contest, win the prize this month, or coloring contest for kids right now, worksheets, something to engage the family. Not direct sales, but it's raising that awareness that you're there and that you have product and that you're building community, because marketing campaigns are as much about building your networks and community as they are a sale. Sales may come later, they may come during the campaign, but the awareness and the connectivity is really important to build up. And I want to get over to that funnel here where we talked about raising marketing campaigns. The first thing they do is raise awareness. You can't really count on, sending out that email newsletter and getting clicks. You're going to ask for clicks. You're going to ask them to take an action, but you're not sure you're going to get that. But if they read it, you have raised the awareness. You have gotten, the big top of the funnel, raise the awareness and interest. You're going to have to do social media, email marketing, all of these messages, right message to right people, right time, several times. Once is not enough. We used to say, again, print ads, or I often use the analogy of a church bulletin, that they announce something's going to happen at church 5 times because people just don't see it and they read through it. Well, with the way we scroll through things on our phones and our computers now, they need to be there about 8 times, the message and the action, for people to start being aware and taking the action. So you're using social media to raise awareness and interest. You're certainly looking for a sale sometimes, but you are looking for them to take a desire and action. I was on another conference last week where a farmer was sharing her experiences going to an online platform and using more social media. And she said that her mix for her social media postings were the 3 E's. About a third of the time she tried to educate, a third of the time she looked at entertaining, and a third of the time she did some e-commerce work. And I thought that was a good mix to look at. So as you use these different online tools between photos and sharing content that is about the farm, or a posting that you shared, it gets into that mix of education and entertainment that draws them in, again, that awareness and connection. So certainly the online and internet work is a big piece of a marketing campaign. Radio and television campaigns, I would have said that these certainly weren't something we were looking at real hard a couple weeks ago, or months ago even, but they are kind of coming back, particularly radio. You'll hear some campaigning. There's a company right now advocating that you get dairy out of your diet, and I've been hearing this heavy marketing campaign they have for their company, which I really despise, because it really looks at the dairy industry as somehow evil and doesn't care for animals and blah blah blah. So we're hearing these kinds of things come back on the radio and TV ads, particularly for agritourism. When things are coming open, there might be a quick bleep on the local stations. I will say all of that costs a lot of money. Our own farm, we looked into, we started at the top. What to be on iHeartRadio in our region, they wanted $30,000. Well, that's not us. I did look at the local station here, and I did work with them for a little bit. And some of the caveats is that it works best, radio works best, if you can be on the spots that were early morning, late afternoon, early evening. because that's when people were in their cars driving. Now that's certainly changed with not as many people going, to work via the roads anymore. So that timing factor might be a little different. But again, if there are certain programs that match up to your customers, when I used radio, I also paired with a health fitness show that was on the radio that had a pretty good following. And so our kind of product worked right in there with it. I will tell you that I would run into people and I'd be delivering product, or I would have my car that has our farm signs on, and they say, "Oh, Evermore Farm, I heard you on the radio." And I smile and acknowledge, and I think, "Did you come out?" Can't say it was that effective, but it raised awareness. So again, all of these tools are, is it a good fit for you? Is it a right message, right time? So that was my experience. Might do it again in some kind of a restaurant week. Maybe you want to pair with, we're going through fairs at the time when fairs are hopefully back to normal at some point, that you could be a sponsor on the segments that announce the fair schedules and the activity. So I'm not saying this is in my top 10 list, but I think, again, it's a tool that engages. And even more if we look at smartphones and apps, not to forget the other components that might work for you. Then there's the outside of the box campaigns. What is it that you might do that is a one-time campaign that entices people to come to the company or get to know you? Example here I have is that Tom's shoes, where if you buy so many pairs of shoes, they donate to others, maybe in the third world, and their shoes. We've seen this coming through lately with a lot with the mask. Folks who, if you bought the mask, they would donate masks to someone else. And while that looked like a charity, and it was also an out-of-the-box campaign to sell masks. And we're seeing that, I'm seeing it come through companies like Vistaprint now. Some of those, again, pairing perhaps with food banks now is a good cause, but it's also can be looked at as kind of an out-of-the-box campaign that gets your name out there. Another one that I'm seeing with some CSAs, remember, if you Willy Wonka's golden ticket, they're making up their own little golden ticket and hiding it in some of the bags. And if you get one of the golden tickets, then perhaps you get something extra in your share the next week, or you can pick up something else at the farm. And while this all looks like, elaborate giveaways, they are, again, a way to connect, bring people aware, and build goodwill. Direct mail campaigns. Does anybody mail things anymore? Well, we're kind of seeing a resurgence here, and they're getting to be a little more effective than they were for a while because people are using them again. A couple of things here. It can't look like junk mail. So if you're going to print up something to mail, you've got to invest in something a little glossy, timely. Get your message on there clean without a lot of reading. My husband and I are a little older. The hearing aid people must have our list, because I get really nice cards advertising hearing aids. They're full color, and you come in for a test. So, and we're getting them several times a year. So I think for them, it's working as a direct marketing tool. But like all marketing tools, who has the greatest potential? If you could, mail to, say, in my case, we sell Thanksgiving turkeys. I have a list of everybody who's bought turkeys in the past, and I will send them an email to tell them when we're giving. But I'm also going to send out a little reminder card for them and ask them to share that card with someone else to order. And if they do that, then they're going to get a free little pop-up temperature thing for their turkey when they order. So there's ways to use direct mail. It's not cheap. Again, postage rates are high, but can be very targeted. The other thing I have here are thank you notes, thank yous. Um, it is a good gesture if you can do some of this, say, with the CSA membership. I know if you have 200, it's difficult to do, but if you have less than 50 in a segment of some kind, um, who gets handwritten thank you notes anymore? Very hard to find. So again, raising awareness, making that connection might seem like, oh, that's a lot of work and a lot of money. People remember those who have quality service beyond the item. I hear some rumbling going on. Is there a question in here somewhere?
Hi, Ginger. It's Lee. We have a few questions. One is, what are some of the average costs of a direct mail campaign?
Okay. Well, let's talk about the scope. Determine who you want to send a direct mail campaign to. Are we talking about 100 postcards from Vistaprint? Are we talking about 5,000? I again remember that this presentation is called Start Small to Grow Tall. I would keep the number manageable on your printing. I would also, any kind of direct mail campaign, have a way to gauge how effective it is. If it's mailing a postcard to them, have them bring the postcard back to you to get whatever the offer is. In our own store, we have a postcard with all our information on, and if you bring the postcard back and spend $25, you get a free pound of ground beef. I'll invest on a stamp up to a certain number to see how effective that is. That's been one of our most effective mailings. So how big is it? What is your budget? I mean, we could do another presentation. What is your marketing budget? Whatever you do in a mailing, have a way to measure its effectiveness. I do send handwritten thank you notes to my CSA members, and I will get emails back. I know when they've landed because I'll get thank yous back via an email, or they'll talk about it at their next CSA pickup. So the cost, you can go anywhere from a couple $100 for the stamps and $300 for the printing and mail out, or you can go big. But I would suggest you find a segment you want to mail to. Pierce out, am I targeting young families in my neighborhoods? Get demographics from your county, who lives where, or am I, bigger shotgun, and decide on your numbers. That's going to drive your cost. Okay, anything else now?
So the other question, kind of related, is asking about the cost of a price list of people to mail. So that's probably a whole nother topic if you're trying to get something like that.
That is a whole nother topic. And my concern with buying mailing lists is, first of all, did you ever get something that you never signed up for, and did you just throw it right in the trash because who in the heck is this and where did they get my email or my address? I'm a little hesitant about doing that. And so you're going to say, well, how in the heck do I find people's information? Tax rolls. County tax rolls are public. You can find addresses to different areas in your county. To find addresses, mailing lists. The other thing is you need to do some data collection on your own. I still go to a farmer's market to sell product, but I do it more to have a sign up for my newsletter and a little short form of how many people were in the family. That will give you the indication of how many heads to feed in that house. If it's an older lady that there's two of them, that's retired. You can sleuth out some of this information on your own, but I am hesitant to buy mailing lists or those kind of items. So maybe I took that the wrong way. Maybe you were talking about something else when you said price.
I think it says also, does the cost include the price of the list of people to mail? So I think that's probably what was being referred to.
Yeah, those are not often vetted. And again, if they're selling them, emails change and addresses are more fixed physical addresses than our emails. So if you, I will tell you also, if you're looking to buy a list, you should ask them how current that list is, because if it's a year old, probably I would say 25% of those emails are duds. So be careful when you're purchasing those if you're purchasing those kinds of things. I still think go back to the triangle. Who are you? Do all your neighbors know that you have it and buy it? Does everybody in your town or your area, in your county? We don't, sometimes we forget to market to those closest to it, right place. Any others?
Is the end of the season a good time to send out thank yous for CSAs?
The timing is a little bit your choice. If you're going to go at the end of the season, that's a good time. But are you going to remind them about sign up next time? Then it looks like kind of looks like more of a marketing piece. I would almost look, and I know this is a busy time, is look into the change of season from summer crops to fall. To thank them because they've been with you, and if things are going to change through the fall. Maybe there's going to be some excess that they, if they want to purchase for later on. It's really a timing thing. I do my own, I do early in the season simply because I catch the new people that way, and they get a thank you right off the bat. It's because they've taken an action. They're not sure how that was going to turn out, and now they're getting a good product. And oh, by the way, the farm even sent me a thank you note. So it's personal preference.
Okay. That's all we got for right now. Thank you.
Okay. We've got a couple more slides, and those thank you notes feed right into customer referral campaigns. If you can encourage that, remember the number one group who knew you and loved you to talk you up, it's worth more than any mail or social media posting, because people trust people like themselves. They take referrals. They're happy. I won't say probably. I will say that 90% of my new CSA sign-up customers are friends of somebody who's already a CSA member. And it was the CSA member who got me that sale. And I appreciate that. One of the other things that you can do with your customers is to incentivize them with some kind of loyalty program. We often see this if you have a friend signed up, you get this. We actually have a sales card in our store that if you purchase up to several $100s, and we have a little stamp on the card, then your next visit is a 10% off everything you buy. And that big purchase can be kind of big to swallow. But number one, it's a big purchase. And number two, they did a lot of purchasing to get to that point. So loyalty programs are actually a marketing campaign that's pretty easy to establish. We get a little, it looks like a little business card from Vistaprint that has places where we can fill in. We have a little stamper that's just our little stamper. You can't change it, that we stamp. And I always apologize to people. Oh, I'm sorry, another card to put in your wallet. But they bring them, they take them right off the bat. And we've probably this year done an easily 1,000 cards that way, where people came in and they have to buy $200 worth of product in the store to earn a 10% discount. Then they tell their friends, oh, come along, because if you get a card, and this is how it works. So again, let some of other people help with your marketing, particularly if you've done a good job and they're in that number one group for you. Utilize them for sure. And whatever you do, select, implement, and evaluate. Right group with the right message, the right place where they're going to see it. And we talked a little bit about the right time. When's a good time for a thank you note? When's a good time to get out in front of some of these things? Um, Good time, and I do want to talk about, for instance, with turkeys, we work with another farm here that raises the turkeys. I used to always think October 12th, Columbus Day, was the day I would start announcing we were taking turkey orders. And yeah, I mean, really, month and a half, certainly. Well, I started to see other folks last year were taking turkey orders in September, and I jumped in a month early, September the 12th, instead of October the 12th, getting in front of people as they were going back to school, thinking about down the road holiday planning and so forth. 30% of my turkey sales, I had it before October 12th, the day I normally would have started. So right time is get yourself a calendar and kind of lay out when things are going to happen and when you're going to do some of these events in front of. I mean, I'm seeing Christmas planning already, and I'm not there, but I am thinking about Thanksgiving, fall events. Those of us who are a little seasonal, for instance, when I do hamburgers, hot dogs from May to the end of August or Labor Day is the big sales period. And I know that's when in my marketing, I always mention that we have those great grill things of, burgers and hot dogs to get out. So select the tool based on your audience. Didn't say if most of your audience is older and are not as comfortable with some of the electronics, that's where the postcard and some of these other activities like the punch card for sales will work. They're used to it. You need to implement whatever campaign you have over a set period of time. One of the things that you were asking me about is this mailing campaign, how big and how often, how long. You've got to set some parameters on how long you're going to do something and then pull it back. Or it dribbles and you don't get a good feel for the results. But always look at what worked and what didn't and write it down because you won't remember. Oh, we should have put the pumpkins in a different place for people to pick up. The lines got long. Evaluating this year, we've done a lot of that. How to check people out, where to put product, now that it's a grab and go or you're putting things in people's cars. Evaluate what you did in a marketing campaign that you told people you were going to do. We do contactless sale here. We'll put it in your car. Evaluate how did that work? How many people really want that now? I think earlier on, last few months, that was prime. Folks now might want to look a little more. Again, got to be safe with COVID, but things change. Whatever you do, evaluate it. I used to work with a group in a county, farmers markets, that always took a big ad out in the Baltimore Sun. It's pretty expensive, and but they just advertised that their market season was starting and how long it ran. And every spring when we got the group together, they'd say, "Oh, that Baltimore Sun ad is so expensive," and then they'd do it again. They knew it wasn't effective, but they just felt they had to do that. Be sure you evaluate and some way to gauge it, whether they bring the card back or whether they participate in your contest. You can change up and learn from what you've done. So pick the tool, implement it over a set time, evaluate the results you get. And with that, I don't know if there's any more questions. I've been kind of rambling a little bit.
I don't see any more questions in the box. Anyone else? I think I got everything. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't see any more.
As I said, I segmented this out. These are tools. This is not your marketing plan. That's a little more extensive, and we can talk about that another time. But these were tools to think about, implement. Don't have to do them all. I would pick, at least two and work those through and see how they work. And if they don't, what else is possible?
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Ginger. I hope everyone got some good information from that. Thanks everyone for joining us. Watch your email for the recording so you can go back and review, and Have a nice day. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. Stay cool.